Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode 18 of the Catalyst Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Sunkiss, and with me, as usual, my co-host, Aria F. Wright.
Hi,
What's up, Aria? How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Uh, Damn, this feels like a long February.
No, no
It
way.
does.
No,
It's the snow. The snow feels
well,
like it's dragging.
no, no,
Yo, I
no,
can never get her to agree with me on anything.
no.
Anyway,
And
why?
I think for me, it's like this is Black History Month, and I feel like we cannot be crammed in 28 days. So,
Not facts. No, you're absolutely right. But the feeling, I don't know, the feeling, I mean, the premise of Black History Month, yes, we need long, we should be in June. Black History Month should be in June. It's every day.
that's Black music.
However, perfect. Overlap. Has a little overlap there. I don't know. But yeah, we definitely still getting jerked with the month. But the weather just makes it feel like the month is a little
Well,
extended
yeah.
to me.
I mean, the weather, it's super ridiculous. Like it looked like it was a
Mhm.
beautiful day outside today with snow, but I wouldn't know because
Right.
I did not step foot outside of the door. Like, I'm not interested. I mean, it's so cold and it's so unfeeling. I just want to fast forward past winter.
Yeah, me too. I hate winter.
Can't even jump
Spring
on.
be nice. Well, some of our guests already jumped on a plane, probably jumping on a plane again, but we'll get to that in a sec. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode. Thank you for joining us this evening. Tonight, as you all know, or should know, we are talking about, we're exploring the nightlife and the wine and spirits industry. That's what we're discussing tonight.
Two of my favorite things to talk about.
Good Lord.
I'm
You know,
saying, right?
well, the nightlife, definitely. I definitely miss the nightlife. And that's why we're doing this podcast tonight.
Yeah,
We need to talk about it.
yeah.
And as we look forward to this new way of life, we look back at the times of going out with our friends and grabbing a drink or purchasing a bottle in a club. Some of us, but for a birthday celebration, anniversary, or just enjoying life, right? So, what will it look like in the future for entrepreneurs that own establishments, and also what do we have to look forward to as far as nightlife and the entertainment goes for us personally, right? So I know you and I were talking about this a little bit, and we were kind of comparing like different places like New York against Atlanta and Florida against certain places in Connecticut and like certain areas of LA opening up and then closing, and they're them kind of bouncing back and forth. How do you feel about these? The disparity between the two.
Well, I think that it stems further back than anyone cares to imagine and think about and own. But I believe that had we gotten this thing under control in the first place, and people did not start going into clubs prematurely and then jumping on a plane and then coming back to the place that they live, like for example, New York, and and then
Right.
spread attending a super spreader event and then jumping back on a plane just because New York was not open and going to Atlanta. Like I just believe that certain places are hotbeds, and granted, a lot of those numbers aren't, high, but are they being reported is the next question. So,
Right.
you
And
know,
highly unlikely, right? Because a lot of these establishments. So I would say like entrepreneurial individuals that have like a small location. I think with them that it's a matter of survival, right?
yeah,
But for like a
absolutely.
large club such as, let's go to Miami for a second. So like Live,
Hmm.
right? So I know that they closed their doors. However, there are
They
other
open.
establishments. They're back open.
They're open
See, I don't know. See, that's why I got you.
unless they were
Keep your ear
posting
to the
old stuff.
streets.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I worked in the liquor business for 20 years, but
Mhm.
16 of it was really being in the club, in the
Right,
club.
right.
So I
That's a
I
big piece.
Yeah, I mean, and it's I understand the plight of the small business owner who is trying to feed his family with the money that he gets from this club, and or for whatever his business is or services. But I just still believe that we all need to really think about what it is that we're doing. Like, you can't just let it be open. You can practice safety. You can have people wearing masks. I mean, it's not the most glamorous thing. I get it. But you can have people wearing masks or have some sort of mandates with temperature checks and things like that, even though none of that stuff is foolproof. But, there are a lot of things that you can do as a club owner or someone who cares about society and cares about humanity, to make people feel safe and to stop the spread. So I'm just gonna leave it there because I mean I'm on the side. I may not sound like it, but I'm on the side of the club owner and the party promoter and the people who are doing liquor promotions, because that was my life for a whole 20 years and beyond. So I get it, but I just feel like a lot of times people are just not thinking about the implications that having an event will have on people that are coming, like All-Star Weekend's coming up. Right. Where? Atlanta. What?
Where supposedly Ms. Bottoms was talking about it not being there. She's pushing for it not to be in Atlanta.
She's going to have a full all-on revolt on her hand.
But I do understand where you're coming from, and with your boots to the ground and being in that industry for so many years and being known for being that like tactful and elegant and stringent, but yet smart and balanced woman in the industry, and dealing with party promoters and dealing with club owners, and you want me to keep going? You're not going to stop me? Anyway.
No, I'm not going to stop you, but I just, under my breath, I said, I don't know about all of that, but, I'm going to let you go. I don't feel like you reached your fullest potential with talking about me yet.
This show ain't about you. Damn. Hold on. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to give my quick opinion, and then we're going to get right to the topic and right to our guest. Sure. So as a person who loves partying, I've calmed down a lot. In these years, I've calmed down a lot. However, I can understand those that want to get out, right? Everybody's not built the same. Some people feel like trapped, and they just want to see their friends and do something different than just staying, quarantined at home, working from home, everything's from home, and just wanting to stretch their legs. However, at the same time, we got to think about long term, right? So, as someone who would love to, hear the DJ and see people, and I'm personally, I'm kind of torn in between the two, similar to your perspective on it. But as a patron, I definitely miss the club scene, and I think it's just going to be different going forward, right? A lot of people are going to have a different headspace, a different mentality, and a different approach of going places and when to go and how to go. So before we get to our guest, though, I want everyone to definitely, show their support. Thank you for joining us again. Go to YouTube, Catalyst Lifestyle, share, hit the like button, add comments, jump into the live chat, and then also on Facebook, Catalyst Conversation with 2 Ks. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Definitely support the channel. So, Aria.
Yep.
Who's up?
Nigel's asking me if I want food, so I'm like, yes. So yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Food preempts everything. Okay.
Our first guest. Who's on?
I'm sorry. I'm making sure I'm my order right. Okay. I'm sorry. All right. So we have 2 very, very, very special guests today. They're actually 2 of my favorite people in the universe. I can't really express how very entertaining this conversation is going to be until you meet both of our guests. Our first one is Paul Sadler, and I'm sorry, Paul Sadler Jr. I know it's Papa too. Has more than 5 years of political campaign experience and over 10 years of marketing experience. He used to throw lavish events and started the Sadler's Entertainment LLC that does weekly, monthly, and annual breast cancer fashion events in honor of his mother, Kim Sadler. Beautiful person. In 2013, Paul became the key account manager for Moet and Hennessy, and he represented key high-profile accounts all across Ohio, both in Cleveland and in Akron, and I forgot what's the other one. What's the other one? I forgot. Anyway, yeah, it's another big city. So, but as his interest grew in the liquor and nightlife industry, he started Hollywood Hookah in Cleveland in 2017, which is a mobile hookah company. Look it up. And in 2019, he opened Lotus Lounge in downtown Cleveland that caters to upscale urban chic crowd. And then Saint Sadler Luxury Wines is now sold in over 50 locations. And he plans national distribution with Saint Sadler Luxury Wines in 2021 and beyond. So welcome, Paul Sadler, the owner and operator and brains behind the Saint Sadler Wines.
What's up, Paul?
What's going on? Man, nothing. Ain't nothing.
Something.
He said
Take
nothing.
it easy in Cleveland. You know, taking it easy.
How we doing out there?
For the most part. Going good, trying to beat this cold weather.
Well, we can only see half of your face. We can only see half of your face. Move the camera.
Oh, let me see. All right, cool.
See, so Paul is always working. He's always working. So he's literally sitting outside right now on his way to a tasting for Saint Sadler wine. So there's a little,
he's on the job.
Yeah. Always working.
Like, y'all got I don't know why I'm going there. Why am I going the opposite way? Okay.
And Paul is
I'm trying to figure this out because I'm going the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Let me see this real quick.
All right, so we're gonna bring in Chris while you're trying to figure out where. All right. So our next guest, Chris Rochelle. He's been DJing in high school. He DJ'd in high school, which eventually led him to become an accomplished event promoter. He immersed himself in the local and national nightlife and dominated the local nightlife scene in Oakland, Yay area. Chris is now most influential event promoters and sought after DJs in the country with a cult-like social media following. He became the proprietor of Liege Spirits Lounge and Restaurant, the #1 nightlife venue in Oakland. And with his famous "We Party for a Living" tagline, he continues to dominate the entertainment, upbeat dining space where he mixes food with a party atmosphere. And if I tell you that the food is so good, the Taco Tuesdays there at Liege, and the music is always good. It's soulful music. Come on in here, Chris, and let's get it going.
What's happening? Let's go. Let's get it. Ready?
What's up, Chris?
Put me in, Coach. What's up?
Thank you both for joining us this evening.
All good, brother. Thank you all for having us. I appreciate it.
Definitely. So we're going to get right down to it. So this question is for both of you. Paul, you can start first if you like. Kind of a two-part question here. So how did both of you get into the nightlife industry? And just kind of give some detail on like how you started, what your first entry point was into the business, and then also describe some points in which you decided that this was where you wanted to make your career.
I started in high school. I started throwing parties in high school for the most part. And then in high school, it led up to college. And then after college, it just led on to, me continuing to throw parties. And then growing more interest into the nightlife when we started throwing the bigger events. It really came with, the money in the nightlife is pretty good. It's pretty fast and all that type of stuff. So it really helped out, with my lifestyle for the most part. So I was able to actually do a few good things. So my entry point was definitely in high school. Started throwing the high school parties, in the basements. And then taking it from there for the most part, from taking it from the basement to the nightclub for the most part. That was my entry point in it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, how about you?
Okay, so my entry point into nightlife is kind of a mixed bag of tricks. So I kind of got into it on accident almost from being popular, and ran across a couple of friends of mine. One of the friends being Chris Latimer, and he was doing Cancun at the time. And I went to Cancun to the All-Star Fiesta, and I was like the only person there from California. I mean, the whole state. Like, it was maybe 10 people there from California.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to talking one day. You know, we had already knew each other because I had, you know, been to a bunch of events when he was doing events. And he was like, I said, man, you know what? I could probably bring 500 people out here. He said, what? Nah, no, you can't. I said, man, bet. Put me up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much how it started. I brought about 500 people the first time to Cancun. And then after that, it grew. And that's when I started indulging in national events, because I was already DJing here and doing smaller events at home. And then as that grew, I kind of had a conversation. We were doing a party at All-Star Weekend in Atlanta, long time ago. And we were sitting down at a table. I never will forget this. Sit down at a table, and it was Mark Barnes, Lap, Alex, DB, and Alex says, "Oh man, you're just a promoter until we can come sit down in one of your bars or restaurants." And that lit the fire for me. It was a joke when he said it, but that really, when I came home, I was like, I got to get my own place. and that's how it started, because I felt like, it's like, man, these brothers all around the country got their own clubs and all. Like, man, you know, it was almost like back then, that was 25 years ago. And the way the Oakland market was back then, it was really like a small market. So no one really, you know, like you had San Francisco and LA, but neither of them were real big black markets anyway at the time. So Oakland being the black city out west, you know, we were almost like unknown. So I felt like I had to level up, and I felt like I had to get to the point to where I was as accomplished as my counterparts across the country. And I'm glad Alex said that. I told him that every time I said it. So I'm glad you said that shit, bro.
Wow. Yeah, you named.
I don't even know if I ever told you that story.
I've never heard that, and I'm like, wow. I'm sitting here like, oh, okay, because you really named all of the big heavy hitter promoters, and now
because I was doing parties with them. They were, you know, like I was the dude that nobody knew from California that could provide 1,000 people at All-Star Weekend or wherever. So they would always get at me, Monty. You know, they would always call me, hey, Chris, we need you to rep the West. But the West, like I said, it was like an unknown market kind of that they didn't really, you know, everything was East Coast, Atlanta, you know, Tri-State, DMV, you know, so they didn't really fuck with California like that, or Oakland. So it was a small market. But now that it's so much of a bigger market now, things have changed, and it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, Chris, speaking of change, how has the nightlife industry changed for you over this past year, since COVID has forced doors to shut and gatherings to cease, and brands were more or less forced to reimagine how they engage in consumers?
What nightlife? We don't have a nightlife right now. I mean, because really, if we weren't a restaurant, if we didn't have the food aspect, we would not be able to be open right now.
Oh, wow.
And there's, even though I'm open, there's a ton of restrictions. It's, you know, everything has to be outside. So now I've created this whole outdoor experience to where, you know, we moved the party earlier. So now we're doing with food on the street from 5 to 10 p.m. And then 10 p.m. everybody goes home. But, you know, it's definitely been a challenge. And then California has been the most restrictive state in the whole country. You know, we've closed down we just opened up 2 weeks ago. And we were closed we had a quarantine, what do they call it?
Stay at home.
Well, we had a curfew, a stay-at-home order and a curfew for 2 months, from December until February. You know, you couldn't We literally had to be in the house at 10 o'clock.
That's crazy. So they didn't extend it to 11 yet in Oakland?
They have, so this is the deal. I can be open as late as I want to, but you can't have music outside past 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I could just have people sit there and just, but I don't know how far that's going to go. So,
socially distance, have a conversation.
Socially distanced from across the street. Yep. And Paul, I mean, it doesn't seem like Cleveland shut down at all. What's going on in Cleveland?
Yeah. What's going on out there?
We shut down in March. So we shut down from like March to like I would say like June or like the end of May, like June. And then they put the curfew like similar with Chris was saying. So we were under curfew from 5 to 10. And then they like pushed it back to 11. Then they pushed it back to midnight. So but we're now back to regular hours now. But we're still working at 50% capacity. And then if you go over the capacity, they're basically just coming around giving fines for the most part. So like Super Bowl Sunday, like I got a $13,000 fine, right, for social distancing, face mask, and there was some type of sign they said that we needed on the door. So I mean, I don't know, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely restrictions for the most part, but they let you rock out for the most part as long as you just pay the money, So
Paul, like
all about the money, safety. Huh? It's about money and not about safety then.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is at this point, because all of a sudden, like, the numbers are going down, so they're opening everything up, but they're still, I guess policing the situation, like, everything is still the same way it was, so it's kind of weird out here in Cleveland for the most part, because you're open, but you're kind of open if you're basically, like, willing to pay the fines and fees for the most part. So a lot of clubs are still closed because they don't want to pay the major fines and the major fees, But if you're willing to, take the chance, take the risk, then that's the position that you're in,
That's crazy. And then,
brother, you're lucky. You get
right.
50% capacity. We haven't had in the entire state of California, and we're talking about 20 million people, 22 million. We have not had capacity be above 25% statewide, and no nightclub. Like a nightclub has not been able to open, but a restaurant has only been able to get up to 25% capacity statewide, and that has only happened in the Bay Area. That's only happened once, and it lasted for a week and a half, and then it went back to nobody inside. So everything we do is outside, and it's got to be social distance, and it's a cop monitoring it, and they give them fines, and it's been a challenge, man. It's definitely been a challenge.
But Paul, I'm trying to think, because you have a few different layers that we can add into this conversation, because you also represent Team Hennessy and Moet Nectar Rosé, and doing the on and off premise stuff there. So how have they changed, and are you back to promoting in clubs now, or have you seen any brands in clubs promoting?
I retired from Team Hennessy in February after All-Star game. So I didn't, I left. I wasn't messing with that no more. But it was back then, obviously the last at All-Star game, because we were all together. So All-Star game was like the last real kicking, and then I stayed involved probably like through March or April or so, but then I decided just basically not to even, mess with it anymore for the most part. But from what I hear, from obviously I'm still in the Rat Pack, talk to Tone and them all the time. So basically what they're focusing on is the privilege toast, those type of things, the dinner setups, because I don't think they really want to put everybody back into the nightlife yet. But I'm pretty sure they will, but I've seen multiple other brands. So like, Patron comes to my club all the time, Jack Daniels comes to my club all the time. So they're still doing promotions, not with the per se. Remember how we used to have the activation ladies and they come out there do the sampling and stuff? So none of that, but they do have like key account managers that come in and do spins, not like nothing to the capacity of Team Hennessy, but they still come in and do spins, $500 to $1,000, something, basically just to keep the relationship going with the owners and all that type of stuff. So yeah, you still see them coming around. I haven't seen much with Hennessy. My boy Steph Floss, he's the new Team Hennessy person in Cleveland. So he's just been doing like privilege toast and things and that stuff, but not coming into the nightclubs just yet. But I'm pretty sure they're gonna come back in, soon.
Yeah, I've had several conversations with brands that I work with on, separately. And I think I want to say probably like in July or August last year, one of the brands was petrified. Like they were like, okay, we don't want to be the first ones to jump out the gate and, open up and start doing events, because if someone catches COVID, they can trace it back to us, and then that whole thing. So that's also an interesting dynamic to lean into on this, about brands just not really wanting to come out and be the first, or not wanting to, be socially responsible too.
They need to get ahead of that, though. I think brands need to get ahead of it because certain brands, like how, Chris is coming out with his tequila, right? So, like, the tequila market here in Cleveland has just taken over. Like, that Anejo, Resposado, all of, like, like 2 years ago, like, I ain't heard nothing about no Anejo, Resposado, all that type of stuff, right? But now that's taking over. Like, I buy more Patron than Anejo. Any Anejo, I got more Anejo in my bar than I got anything else because that's what they're buying from the Casamigos, Casa. Yeah, so it's like that's what you buying, right? So,
Right.
I'm a definitely Patron has got ahead of it outstandingly, right? So, I mean, I definitely think other brands probably need to jump on it because I don't know how long the tequila wave is gonna last, but if they keep on rolling how they're rolling, I mean, that's all you buy. It's tequila, right? At least it's all I buy right now. It's tequila for the most part. I may go through a little hen, a little Remy, or but tequila is it, like hands down.
Yeah, tequila is definitely it for me.
Tequila for president.
That's my choice.
Besides
So
bottles that you
Right.
used to pop in at the what is it, the Polo Classic.
oh, rose
Oh,
all day.
whoa.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I always been a 1942 guy. It's been
They love
years.
that 1942.
Yeah, years.
Yeah,
Been
42
years and
is
years.
big.
Before they knew what it was.
But isn't that how it is though?
Yeah.
Before they knew
I
what it
mean,
was, man.
like you're drinking something that people then tap in years later.
Yeah,
It
absolutely. They
becomes
tapped in years later.
anything.
Right.
So the both of you have deep political ties with some reputable and powerful people in politics. So how have the politics of COVID impacted your business? And then also, are there any local and state laws that have prevented you from, like from running your business?
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, yeah. I mean, with the restrictions, you know what I mean. So all the restrictions are basically said you have to like run it in a certain form of fashion. And the politics of it is the police coming down there, the state coming down there, the health department. The health department comes down, the state comes down with with their whole the law team. Like it's almost like they come in there like it's a raid. Because it's kind of weird because they hit the clubs. Black folks don't do shit when the raid comes. Black folks leave the club. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're just sticking around while the police just raid the spot. You know what I mean? So it's just like they come in there, they raid it, and they just walk you to the back and act like they're your best friend and then give you a ticket. Now you got to make a couple calls. Like hey, like you guys, get these niggas off my back for the most part because they don't go to every club. In my opinion, here in Ohio, right, or at least in Cleveland, like they target the African American clubs more than they target the white clubs. They took down one white club for the most part just to let us try to like shut us up because we kind of created a coalition to bring the black clubs together to go to City Hall and talk about what's going on, about what we felt was going on with the cops coming around. So they took down as one big white club, but then let everybody else rock out. But then they still coming at us every week, giving us, it starts off at $1,000 fine, then it goes to $2, then it goes to $3, but then after a while, they all in the 10s and 20s. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I mean, the politics of it is the police coming down, basically running shop right now because they're able to just walk in there willingly and freely and just write you whatever ticket they want to write you. And then in turn, obviously they want to call from you to see what they can work out with you. So, I mean, it's just the political game is serious. I think more serious now with COVID because now you really have to deal with them. Before, you really didn't have to deal with the police. You hire police to come down and police your club and, watch around and watch the premises, but not necessarily have to deal with them on a daily.
Yeah, it's been a little different for me out here. I'm one of the fortunate black club owners that has a really strong relationship with Oakland police. So they don't really bother me. They come and tell me what's going on, and they tell me what the compliances are, which change daily from state to city to county to the police. And the police's position is they don't want to enforce. They don't want to be the bad guys that enforce these rules that change all the time. But the rules just like every week there's a new rule. Like in December, I got a mandate from the state. And it was, you can have amplified music, reasonably loud. You can have whatever playlist you want, but you can't have a live physical DJ, which makes no sense. So you can literally play all the trap, rap, whatever you want to play somebody's mix, but you can't have a physical body. And this from the state of California. This is the state. This is not like some city shit. This is like from the state. So we've been dealing with all of these. The problem in California is that every couple of weeks, the mandates change. And so then they came up with this tier system. If you're in tier purple, it's this. If you're in tier red, it's this. If you're in orange, it's this. But that still has variances which are governed by each county. So the county can say, you're in the purple tier and you're not supposed to do this, but we got this city ordinance through the county that you can't do that anyway. So it's definitely been a challenge. Like I said, luckily for me, I've got a good relationship with OPD, so they don't really, like, I haven't gotten any tickets. Like, I haven't gotten a ticket all year. They come and say, hey, Chris, blah, blah, blah. This is what's going on. We're going to have to do this. But the thing that Paul said that's interesting is that, all the black clubs are kind of by each other. And we all, no DJ, have to turn the music off at 10 o'clock.
Right.
And then last night, I was talking to one of my friends that has a club right across the street from me, brother. And we drove up the street, and all of the white clubs were still open at midnight. All of them. They were all open. And not only were they open, but the police was sitting outside parked. And I'm videotaping it. I'm just like, yeah, we're going to have a discussion about this come Monday. Trust me.
But they could have been issuing citations.
No. They were sitting there watching. It was, hey, it was
partying with the rest of them.
Issued a 2-hour citation. It was 2 hours later. I was like, man, nah. So probably next week I'll be open later. So, yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, and luckily I do have those political connections and with sitting in the state in OPD. Thank God, knock on wood, because it would definitely be bad. I mean, I do have some friends that are on the bad side of OPD, and they get fucked with consistently. I mean, like on some, they try to sue the police department type stuff.
Right. So Chris, you brought up a few points of, like how the mandates have been changing a lot in the Bay, and both of you have gone through, these like trials and tribulations as keeping yourselves open. Definitely, especially the fact that you're black owners. And in March of 2020, Trump asked Americans to like avoid groups of like 10 people, right? So as we fast forward to present day, we're still in a pandemic, and some cities are open, right? So like Atlanta for one, right? So that would be like a great marker for a city that's open and clubs being open full blast with quote unquote no issues. And then you have some that are not, such as New York, where not one club, not one lounge has been open to the public. So do you think that nightlife will change for those cities that haven't been active since March of last year?
I think that nightlife is never going to go back to the way it was. I think everyone is going to. I think the smart nightlife operators have figured out that they better pivot and that they need to, for one, renegotiate, because you've got to take advantage of the situation. So if you're in a situation where you were paying top dollar for that real estate to have your lounge, and now you're not able to collect that because of an unknown, such as customer safety. For people just feeling safe in an environment, we don't know when that's going to come back in California. In Atlanta or places where it never closed, they probably don't have the leverage that we have in California. So in California, you've got all these businesses that just went belly up. So right now, as a business person, you should be looking at what you can acquire at what rate, so you can dominate the market in a different fashion, but not pay the same, $4 a square foot that we were paying, that I'm paying in this place that I'm at now. I'm opening another bar. They'll put it like this: I'm building another bar right now, and it is twice the square footage of the one that I'm sitting in currently, and the lease amount is a third less. Wow. So you get twice as much square feet for, a third of two-thirds of the price.
Right.
And those are the things that you got to be looking at in nightlife, is how to position yourself to where you can use all of these things to your advantage. Like that's huge. Like when you can get a bigger space for less money because you can tell a landlord, hey, I'm not going to have that capacity. And then you can write those things into a lease. Those are the things that I find helpful in nightlife. As far as it coming back, it'll probably never be the same. I mean, everybody's still going to want to pop bottles, and they're going to want to stand on tables and all that stuff. But as far as social distancing goes in California, because it's very restrictive here, like there used to be 3 big nightclubs in San Francisco, and now there's only 1 left out of the whole of San Francisco. And San Francisco being like the number 2 nightclub global market in the world, that's crazy that there's only 1 left. And the only reason why it's left is because the guy is like filthy rich and he owns the building, and he went to Germany and said, I'm going to stay here for a year and I'll come back.
He's an anomaly. Right.
He's an anomaly. I mean, his building's probably worth, it's a square block. So it's it holds 4,000 people. But there's no, that kind of mega nightclub. I don't know when that's coming back. Like a true nightclub, or like like even in Vegas. Like if you think about what they've done in Vegas, and I'm in Vegas a lot, if you think about how that being the number 1 nightclub market pretty much in the world for nightlife, and none of the nightclubs, the big ones, are open. You've got the smaller ones that are open at a limited capacity, but you're talking about, these guys that were doing, $8 to $10 million a night, now doing, 600,000, 700,000. That's like a tremendous difference.
That's the difference.
That's a big difference. That's a big.
Paul,
you talk about like Dre's, doing 10 million a night.
Crazy.
10 million. That's they're not getting no. That the upstairs ain't even open. They got the basement is open, and it's at 25% capacity, and you got to have a reservation, you got to have a table. So the reservations are max 6 people.
Yeah, totally different now.
Totally different. So and if you just watch the trends of the big boys it kind of tells you where everything is going, at least for a while. But like I said, you got to use that to your advantage. Like that dynamic is not going to change. You got to use that as your marketing shit to say, hey, I can't afford to pay this because of X. Like, this is what it is. You got all these owners of these buildings that haven't collected any rent for a year.
Right.
So those are the ones you want to target. You hey man, I know you got that building been sitting, you ain't collecting nothing for a year. Let's work a deal out, and let's put in a clause that says when the capacity gets to X, I'll pay you this.
Right.
When the capacity is at this, I can pay you that. If they shut it down, I pay you nothing. And that's pretty much the way that I was able to put the spin on all this, is just by moving forward and helping a lot of my friends do the same thing, like negotiate a better deal for yourself, to where when you come out on the other side of this a year or two later, you'll really be able to win. But you're going to weather the storm,
So, Paul, what's your view on where the nightclub life is going, and how do you see it in comparison to like cities like Atlanta versus New York? Totally open and totally closed.
Yeah. Right. So, see, them closed markets are tricky because, like I said, out there in Oakland and California, New York City, the rent is so high. It's like I don't see how you can come back being closed a year for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you held on that long, kind of like the guy from Germany, you had to like basically own a building or something, something along those lines, because I can't see many nightclubs wanting to even come back a year in debt. Like, just with your business mind, you wouldn't even want to do that. Just start over, better yet than holding on to something that's going to be, completely upside down. But the big nightclubs, cause even here in Cleveland, like my boys club, Medusa, like they basically just completely shut down because the capacity, like you're not going to be able to stuff 1,000 folks in the room like anytime soon. I don't think so. The smaller nightclubs are still sustained. Like my club, like Lotus. So like Lotus is a smaller spot. You can get about 150, 200 folks in there. Like you'll be able to sustain those clubs because you got the sections and different things like that. And then like you still have your party goers that don't necessarily care about the quote unquote social distancing stuff, right? But in those major nightclubs, like 1,000 seats, 2,000, 3,000 people, I don't think that comes back right away. I mean, it comes back. I just don't see it coming back just right now. Just because there's still going to be a lot of taboos, around the COVID-19 and with it being a flu, you're going to have another form of it coming out, next season. You know how it goes. It's a flu. So, it's different flus that come out every year, and it'll be a different COVID that comes out every year. So it's just, I don't know, like if you look back to back like 1915 or whatever, when the Spanish flu happened, it took about 30 years for America to come back all the way, how it is, back to, just to say just common day. So I think it's going to be very similar. We got technology and different things like that, but I think it's more or less on the people who want to come out. Like, I got invited to go to the Cavs game the other day, but I didn't really want to go to an arena full of people. You know what I mean? And I love basketball. I played basketball. You know what I mean? I'm going to go to a Cavs game, but I was like, no, I don't really want to go to a Cavs game right now. You know what I mean? Because
it's a little
I
hot
don't want to be in an arena full of people. Yeah, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So real quick though,
you know,
guys, tell me, how does, I mean, we talked about from your perspective, like what the club looks like to you, but what has been the temperature for the patron of your club? Like, are they just happy to be out? Are they coming out and celebrating the way that they used to, scheduling birthday parties? Like, what's going on there?
I'll tell you this. That 230 thing hit last Thursday. This shit wide open right now. They've been selling sections, been selling out lines out the door. That 230 is the magical hour in my eyes right now, because we went from having like, let's just say, we might have a packed day or might be busy. Once they said they can come back out to 230 again, man, packed house. People are like standing in line, booking birthday parties. They want the tables again. The Doughboys come back out.
You're
The
making me
basketball players come
envious
back
right
out.
now.
Yeah, so I was like, last Thursday was a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, it went from being nothing to something within a day. You know what I'm saying?
Overnight.
So last Friday was nothing. This Friday was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's the Patriots are still partying. It's still because it's still the dynamic of folks that they, not to say they don't care about COVID, but you got a lot of folks that have had COVID at this point, and they kind of think that they're immune to it. So I think they're going back out. Because I had COVID myself, and after I had COVID, or even with the vaccine, right? So after I had it, I was like Superman. I'm like, shit, nigga, I'm outside. You know what I mean? So it was like I wasn't about to sit in the house anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm out here.
Right.
Yeah. So I think you got a lot of people like that as well. So, it's like a toss up. But like I said, you still got to play it safe because we are definitely still in the pandemic.
Absolutely.
I think fortunately for guys like Paul and myself to have smaller venues. Like you said, the smaller venues have an advantage right now because we don't need a whole lot of people. We don't, you're in a city with 1 million people and you only need 150 people to make your nut. It's nothing. You can get that back easy. And there's definitely going to be 150 people that not necessarily don't care about COVID, but feel like it's safe enough for them to party. And they're tired of, you got to think about it like this. If you've been going out all of your 20s, all of your 30s, and then all of a sudden somebody says you on punishment, you got to sit in the house. Your ass wants to go out, and as soon as you remember when you was on punishment,
yep.
As soon as you got off, you could wait to go wherever the hell you used to go all the time. So as soon as people get off, they can't wait to go. They're like, man, give me a box. I have friends that come up and they're like, I got like 25 people. I'll be like, bro, bring them 6 people at a time. Y'all got to get 4 different sections, and y'all each got to buy a bottle of 1942. Oh, that's good. Give us 2 for each table. Come on. Come on.
Wait, so Chris, are you saying that it's looking forward, right now, like probably let's just say end of summer going into 2022, is it safe to say that larger venues are probably going to be more profitable than a larger venue due to the capacity size and people's comfortability?
I think the smaller venues, well, for one, like I said, out here, they don't really have many large venues. They never really had a bunch of big venues. Like when you go to like Atlanta or New York or even Cleveland or like Houston, we don't have those places that hold, thousands of people for a whole bunch of reasons. So most of the places were 200 to maybe 600 person capacity places. So most of everything that's like 600, 500, 600 or above 200 is closed. They're closed. Like they can't open. They're not a restaurant that can't open. But the lounges that can pivot as a restaurant can open, and most of them will probably do well because there's so many places that closed and there's not going to be enough places for people to go. Like you're talking about, just sheer market share. Like if you think about how many party goers there were on a weekend, if you're talking in the Bay Area that has 12 million people in the Bay Area or something like that. So on a weekend, we weren't even reaching, 10% of the population going out. You weren't even reaching 100,000 people going out. So you think about now, with there being even less venues, if you made it through this, you're probably going to be cool going forward. But the ones that didn't make it, I ain't gonna make it. Well, and the ones that understand the game and have understand how to pivot, like Paul or myself, that you have to, you got to work with what you
Absolutely.
with the cars that they're dealing you, you're probably going to do well. More than likely. It's not a shortage of people.
Chris,
No.
let me ask you this, because we're getting close to the time of ending the show. So for both of you, actually, so let's tap into social media. Like, do you feel that social media is going to continue as the main driver for the nightlife industry, even once there is a handle on the pandemic? And then also, how can brands navigate the changes with that? And how much do other like tactics, like from an old school perspective of like flyers and using the radio to promote and word of mouth versus like direct media and social media influences? How does that play a part? How does social media play a part in being a main driver for the nightclub industry?
Go ahead,
Paul,
Paul.
I mean, social media. Yeah. Say it again.
I just said, Paul, you should take that one.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, because with social media has obviously taken over, the whole promotion game, right? Because, when I first started throwing parties, you're handing out flyers, we're putting flyers on cars, you're canvassing, you're out there, and then now it's like everything has turned into social media stuff. So, and you got all the different ways to market on social media now, from the TikToks to the Facebooks to the Instagram to the Twitter. So I think that social media is the new flyer, and especially if things don't go back to how they were, I think social media is going to take an even more presence, because everybody's going to just look on social media to see what's going on, where to go, and what to do, because the hand-to-hand contact and the people-to-people contact may, be gone for a while. So social media has already taken over, but I think it's definitely going to, take even more leap into the, promotions game, because that's going to be, the avenue. And then right now with influencers, coming into the market, you got, when I first started with Team Hennessy, you had Team Hennessy, and you may have the Ciroc Boys, right? Like when I left Team Hennessy, you had Jack Daniels, Patron, Remy. Every brand has somebody in Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like the game had got saturated for the most part, and they're all basically pushing everything they're doing through social media for the most part, because every time that you in the club, they want you make 3 posts. Every time that you go to a restaurant and do a dinner, they want you to make 3 posts. You see what I'm saying? So it's all still marketed through social media, right? So whatever they're doing is still the same thing. So I think social media definitely is going to be the leading factor with everything that's going on, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think if you think back when Aria and I first met, and I was a promoter, the thing that I was doing that was unique out here was email. And I was able to actually take that, because I was the only one that had an email list. I was able to leverage that, which is how Ari and I started our 30-year relationship. I was able to leverage that.
Damn, he put the year out there. Damn.
I know. I'm sitting here like, what are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
What are you doing? I'm only
relationship.
It's too late. We live, man.
My bad.
I'm out of here.
I was 5 years old.
Yeah, you was 5 when I met you.
I was 5 when y'all started getting
but being able to leverage that,
right.
It's the same thing with social media now. Is that if you have to have a social presence, and flyers and email and all that other shit is never coming back. If you don't have social media right now or moving forward,
yeah, you're a dinosaur.
You're a dinosaur. I mean, and the problem with that is, and I had this happen, I don't know if Paul ever had this happen, like back when we used to do emails, they would flag you for spam. They would say, you're spamming.
Oh, yeah.
And they would put restrictions on your account. So now you could only send out, you might have had 20,000 email addresses. Now you can only send out 2,000, which will kind of fuck you up, right?
Right.
So that's the same thing that we're at the mercy of. Or I'll give you a better example. When social media first came out and we all was rocking MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Paul was rocking MySpace too. It's like everybody had all.
Damn, here you go again with the dates and times, man. Nobody uses MySpace, man.
It's crazy, man, because when MySpace went away, I didn't know how I was going to promote a party anymore because I had all these followers on MySpace. And then it just went away. It was like, I don't know how to get a hold of these 14,000 people no more.
Right.
And we're at the same mercy now. And I was talking to somebody else about this the other day, is that let's say for instance, they cut off D Nice's account. Like right now, they just said, we're going to cut him off of Instagram. You know how much money that would cost him?
Right.
You know how much money it would cost me if they turned off my account?
Right, and potential future business.
Think about how they did Trump.
Donald Trump, my favorite.
Donald Trump, when they cut him off Twitter and everything else. It's like
off of every platform, every single
platform. The thing
platform.
about social media that really scares me is that you are not in control of your own dime with that.
You're not in control.
Right.
But don't worry about it though, Chris, because Trump is coming back on MySpace. So you all them 14,000 people that you had there, he'll be 2001.
So gentlemen, real quick because we're about to close. Like I said, so quick question. What will you continue to do or start doing with as much detail as you can reveal? Like, no, I'm not trying to, take away from your IP to remain successful post-COVID. What will you remain to do or start doing to remain successful during?
We got 3 minutes, so come on, you sum it up in 3 minutes, in 1 minute.
I got like 45 seconds each.
That's a real easy one for me. I mean, for me, I'm moving out of nightclub type things and more into the food and music dining experience.
Yeah.
Right. Excellent.
That takes that all the liability of a nightclub away. So that's where my focus is right now. And as I'm getting older, I don't necessarily want to, I'm thinking about how long do I want to be in a nightclub, so
right. Mm-hmm.
That's where my focus is at right now, is just duplicating the things that are really working well right now, which is moving out of nightlife.
Gotcha. Paul, how about you? Can you hear me? Can you hear us, Paul?
Don't look like it.
Paul, can you hear us? Nope, he can't hear us.
That's Paul, everybody.
That's Paul.
There you go. Well, this has been an interesting conversation. Like I said in the beginning, like this was my life for a whole, long time. And I appreciate having this conversation with you guys because you have, done so many things in the entertainment industry, from being owners, operators, consumers, because you're both very big consumers of the products that you like.
Hey. I've had a drink since August.
Well,
she want to get you down with team alcohol. That's
I've had a drink since August, and I've been good.
Well, that's a beautiful thing because I definitely have had a lot of knockdown, drag 'em out nights with both of you, at the bar and in clubs. So I understand that it's probably not going to ever happen again, especially for me, because I really don't want to be in that space anymore. Well,
it's going to be different.
Yeah, wait until we open back up.
I'm all for
shit now.
Listen, that's what I do.
She's going to be right there.
No, I developed.
Yeah. Chris. Yeah, one more time. Yeah, we both know. She trying to, because we lie. She, it's public. She trying to play this angel. She turns up sweating like this, like, yo.
Hey, Ari going to start having a couple of sips. He'll be like, man, well, let's go to the club. Fuck it then, let's go. And then next thing you know,
well, not anymore. No, not anymore. No, and I know if I ever get on a plane and go to Cleveland, it's already planned for me. So Paul is already
Yeah.
have me out, until 5,000 o'clock at night. But this was a very, very interesting conversation. We didn't have a time to get into everything that we wanted to get into with you, but I would like to know, what is your advice? Because we literally have no more time. But what is your advice to sustaining your presence in nightlife moving forward?
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
My
Go.
advice to sustaining is understand your market and be willing to adjust.
Good job.
Paul.
Understand your market, be willing to adjust. Yeah. Don't be afraid to change some things. A lot of people just, they're afraid of changing things, and they'll drive the bus right off the cliff. So you got to be willing to assess and change things.
Okay. Well, it looks like Paul is heading to his tasting. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, it looks like he's headed to,
Paul,
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit you
headed to the event now.
bro.
Well, listen. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much. Paul Sadler, Chris, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Aria, thank you once again for co-hosting with me tonight. This has been a very interesting and deep topic. It goes outside of the entertainment, as you all clearly heard this evening. We talked about the politics of it all as well. So make sure, for you individuals that want to start a business going into this type of industry, do your research, as they said, ask questions, think about like the finances and also the political side of it. And before you get into it, so you're well secure. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Aria, again, thank you. And as we say every episode, all we got is us. Us. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Paul. Even though Paul can't hear us, he just texted me and said he can't hear. So
hey, thank you guys for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Everybody, definitely log into Catalyst Lifestyle on YouTube, and then again at Catalyst Conversations with a K. Tune in next Sunday, 5 p.m. You don't want to miss this episode 19. You don't want to miss it. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate you, and peace.
Peace. Pieces.